Did Bears GM Ryan Poles just tip the Bears draft plans? We're going to talk about that here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Thanks to everybody for tuning in to today's show. So, Ryan Poles earlier today talked about a number of topics, including a second one that we'll get to later on. But I thought this was the quote that caught my eye the most and what I wanted to make the majority of the show about. The top blue, talking about blue chip players, I think that's condensed pretty small in round one in this draft. And then there's a wide range of really good starting level players that are going to range from probably the single digits, 7, 8, 9, whatever, all the way to picks 50, 60, 70. Obviously, the Bears pick at 72. So, it's interesting to see how this draft is going to play out. Obviously, the Bears have those 4 picks in the top 72, and I think he's kind of referencing that you should be able to have an opportunity to get starting level players with those 4 picks. The big question is this: can they get a blue chip level player with the number 10 pick? It kind of feels like they're right on the border of where they need to be to get a true blue chip guy. If there's 7 in this draft, will one of them get to 10? And the avenue for that happening is, does the second quarterback go? Does a third quarterback go? Does a team reach for a player based on need? Like, there's a lot of different ways that it could happen, but it's going to be interesting to see. And obviously, it depends on how many true blue grades the Bears have in this draft. But based on his comments, you would think that number's less than 10, right? He said single digits all the way to 70. So you're banking on a little bit of help potentially with the teams picking in front of you to get one of those true blue chippers to fall into your lap. All right, guys, we're almost at 120,000 subscribers here on Bears Now. We're growing like crazy thanks to your guys' help. And if you want to continue to help us grow, hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. That way you never miss an episode. Draft month is here as April is upon us, and we're going to continue to bring you guys draft coverage every single day. So hit that sub button and do not miss out. Obviously, when you look at the draft order, you kind of start mapping this out. Like, okay, Tennessee will probably take Cam Ward. That helps the Bears, obviously. Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are going to go. Shedeur Sanders is a wild card if the Giants don't think of it 3. Does he fall outside the top 10? That probably does not help the Bears. And then you get to these next teams. What do the Patriots do if both Carter and Hunter are gone? Do they try to trade down? Who's willing to trade up? Where does Mason Graham go? Could he slide just because of his measurables? Does Jeanty go to the Raiders, or does he get past Vegas? Like, you start asking all these questions, and I promise you, the Bears themselves are running through all these scenarios. And, this has kind of been a core 5 of players. And I'd throw Mike Green in there as an honorable mention 6th as well, not necessarily in any order of my preference at the number 10 pick. And again, Mike Green comes with the asterisk of if the off-the-field stuff gets cleared, right? Like, every team will have to make that determination for themselves. We've talked about Will Campbell and Armand Mimbu. If the Bears feel like they're legitimate options at left tackle, I think they're very good options at number 10. If not, they're probably a little lower on the list. Mason Graham's a long shot. We don't expect that, but if he's there, you would take him. Ashton Jeanty, Tyler Warren being the 2 skill guys you would really like at that 10th pick. My gut still tells me one of these guys gets there, because that's half the top 10, right? You would just think, playing out probability, that one gets there, right? Like, will some team reach on Shamar Stewart in front of the Bears? Will Jahdae Barron or Will Johnson, one of the corners, go in the top 9? Like, you just obviously a second quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. Cam Ward takes up a slot. So you just start mapping this out. You kind of think, okay, surely one gets there to 10. But what if they don't? Or what if the Bears don't love Mimbu or Will Campbell as a left tackle option and all the blue chippers on their board are gone? What is plan B? Well, part of that, before letting them all be gone, is you could consider trading up. And then obviously the other option is trading down, which I don't know which will be tougher to accomplish in this draft. Trading up is going to be tough because there are only so many blue chip prospects in this draft. And trading's down tough because if you're looking to trade down, you're kind of signaling to other teams that, yeah, the blue chippers are kind of gone. We don't love who's here, but hey, we would love it if you would trade up with us. Now, it only takes one team in both scenarios, but you got to be prepared for all these situations. And I do wonder which trade direction is more likely at this point, moving up or moving down. Because again, just to revisit what Pohl said, the top blue chip players, I think that's condensed pretty small in round one. I think there's a wide range of good starting level players that range from probably the single digits. So even if you're just talking about 8th or ninth, after, 6, 7 players, however many it is, to, pick 70, 80, whatever. So you kind of look at it two ways, in my opinion. Do you want to trade up to secure what you think is a blue chip level player, a high impactful player, or would you rather add a starting level player, trade back, get an extra day 2 pick? Because that's kind of what you're looking at here. So you ask yourself these two questions. How do you feel about your current roster? Do you like the starters you have? Do you feel like you have enough depth? If you do, then maybe you consider trading up for Ashton Jeanty or somebody else. If Mason Graham slips past 5, maybe you would move up for him. On the flip side is how big of an impact will that player have? Because if you're going to do that and you feel good about the rest of your roster, you better not miss. Like, you can't trade up in this draft right here and miss, right? Like, you got to get the right guy. So I think in an ideal world, you would still wait out until 10 and hope one of those guys gets there. But I think it's a feel thing, and that's what makes being a GM so difficult. Is you're balancing patience, presence, future, all that stuff when it comes to your roster management. And this draft, typically sitting at 10, you'd be like, okay, we're going to get a damn good player here. And I still think the Bears would, but there could be a drop-off from the last blue chip player to the first, starting level player, as Ryan Poles put it. Okay, so I'll ask you guys, Bears fans, would you rather trade up or trade down from the number 10 pick? In other words, would you rather secure that blue chip player, which, let's be clear, the Bears do not have enough true blue chippers, or would you rather add an extra potential pick that could turn into a starter? It's kind of your call. It's a volume play. Less volume, but better chance to get a high-level player. More volume, better chance to get, depth, I guess, is what you're looking at. So it's type U for trade up to try and get that blue chipper, or type D for trade down to add an extra dart throw, maybe in like the second or third round. You guys let me know in the comment section below, U for trade up or D for trade down. All right, so that's that portion of this show. Coming up, some more nuggets from the owners' meetings. One more thing Ryan Poles talked about, plus Kevin Warren had an update on the Bears Stadium situation, so we'll get to that. But before we do that, we do have some Bears draft hats available. The draft is just over 3 weeks away, and this is the perfect time to pick yourself up a lid. Go to chatsports.com/Bears draft hats and get started right now. Chatsports.com/Bears draft hats, different styles. Some have the flag emblem, some don't. Whatever your cup of tea is, these are available. Some old ones, too, are at that link as well. If you like the older models, there's a couple of them. They're marked down via discount as well. So if you want to go that route, you can. Chatsports.com/Bears draft hats. Okay, we've talked about this a couple times. Kyler Gordon, is he set to get a contract extension? Ryan Poles said that this is a priority for the Bears, but kind of explained that the timeline is up in the air on when this could happen. Here's what he had to say on Gordon. He said, that will still be a priority. In our exit meetings at the end of the season, I told all the guys in terms of future, if it was contracts coming back, anything like that, the important thing is I've got to get with our new coaching staff and kind of see how different players fit based on the scheme. We've been able to have these conversations, and I know Kyler is a guy that we want to be a part of this moving forward. So the timing of that, I'm not sure how that is all going to work out, but that is a priority. And I'm not surprised to hear him say that, because both Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen, which we've mentioned a couple of times, pointed out Gordon as players that they identified when studying this roster of who they want as part of the future and a player that they think can have a big impact on this team. I think he plays with a physicality and violence that's pretty rare from a nickel. He's a willing tackler. He can cover. You can blitz him, which I would expect Dennis Allen to do some. I think he's absolutely worthy of getting extended. I expect that to get done. At this point, I don't really expect it before the draft. I would guess sometime after the draft and before training camp. I don't think this would be a holdout situation. I don't think Kyler Gordon has that much leverage as a player at this point in his career. But I do think that he would want ink on paper before training camp starts to obviously mitigate injury risk and all that stuff. So I think the two parties will come together sometime between May and July and put something together. Okay, before we get out of here, a little stadium update. Nothing earth-shattering, but Kevin Warren hopped on with Florio and Chris Sims on NBC Sports. And we kind of knew this, but he did confirm that it's down to two locations. Arlington Heights, the 326 acre property that they purchased a few years ago, the old racetrack property, or the lakefront in downtown Chicago. It's got to be one of those two, the museum campus or Arlington Heights. I would give Arlington Heights about a 99% chance. He pointed out that there's a mayoral election happening there today, so we should know by tomorrow who the new mayor of Arlington Heights is. I think Tom Hayes retired, so I don't even know who the candidates are, to be honest. I probably should have checked that. But once that gets finalized, I would guess talks continue. He mentioned that they've gotten to a good spot with kind of the tax breaks with Arlington Heights. That was a big holdup earlier on in the process. And look, let's just face it. The city, Chicago itself, I think in a perfect world, that's where it would be. The team deserves to be in the city. I think all fan bases and franchises would prefer to be in the city. It's the Dallas Cowboys, not the Arlington Cowboys. It's the LA Rams, not the Inglewood Rams. But sometimes there's not enough space. You're dealing with big city politics. And, typically those things get tricky, especially in the state of Illinois. So I think Arlington Heights is going to be the play. Kevin Warren has maintained steadfast that a shovel will be in the ground before the end of 2025 in terms of a new stadium construction project. So if he's true to his word, that'll be the case. And if he's going to stick to that timeline, I mean, we're already almost a third into the year as we're into the month of April. I would say Arlington Heights has the major advantage there to work something out with the Bears. And just the pitch to the Bears is pretty easy, too. Like, you own all that land, you can own your stadium, which is pretty appealing if you are the McCaskey family, I would imagine. All right, do you think a stadium site gets announced this year? Like, it's set in stone there, regardless of where it is, it's happening in 2025. Because that's what Kevin Warren has said all along. By the end of 2025, a site will be settled on and a shovel will be in the ground. Well, 3 months down, we got 9 months left in this year. Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'd say it's 50-50. I feel confident in saying before the end of 2026, something will be set in stone, but these things take a while, and it's been well over a year since, really over 2 years since this has been in motion, and we still don't have answers. So that is where that sits. All right, that'll do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll have more Bears coverage tomorrow. Bear down.